Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We have an unboxing video today, and it is all your fault. One of the formative conflicts of Western civilization is ironically one that we do not see all that many war games about. One is the Peloponnesian War. This is a classic Mark Herman design. This is the newer edition for 2019 and GMT. This is a solitaire game, but there's not really a lot of other traffic in that, especially games that deal with the entire conflict. There's a few, but one of the big hex and counter games that I was aware of before is this, the Epic of the Peloponnesian War, 431 BC to 404 BC. This is from Clash of Arms. Designers Kurt Kuhlmann and Jonathan Iwamasa, neither of whom I'm familiar with, but I am familiar with the spectacularly great artwork of Terry Leeds. Development by Richard Lechowicz, I am not sure. Anyway, we've got two maps here. We've got, I don't know that it gives me a complexity rating, and it is a card. There are cards. To what extent it fits the card-driven game model, I do not know. And it is, once again, from Clash of Arms. And it's in a very nice box, too, I gotta say. The box art is really nice. So let's open her up and take a look. I think this is still available from Clash of Arms. I got it off of eBay because I got a fairly good price for it. It is certainly not an incredibly valuable game. But let's take a look. 2006 is what the date says on the box. All right, so inside, let's set the box aside. So we have kind of a standard weight box. The box itself is a little bit unusual for Clash of Arms because so much of their stuff comes either in some kind of landscape format or it's some kind of 1-inch flat box. This is in a pretty standard 2-inch box, so it'll be able to fit on the shelf with all the rest of my games. We've got two decks of cards here. These look like roughly 50 card decks, so I'd say we have approximately 120 cards. And we have a decent amount of additional stuff. So let's look at the additional stuff. First of all, there is a postcard game. This looks like a game on Mortain Pocket. Start small. This is Against the Odds postcard game. Okay. It definitely looks like Against the Odds counters. I don't even know what this thing is called, man. I don't know. Get a die-cut version of these counters free with your next purchase at Atom Magazine or ATO Magazine. All right, so postcard game from Against the Odds. We have a response card from Clash of Arms. I don't know if their address is still this address, but Clash of Arms is still there. I've talked to them on the phone. We have an ad for Triumph of Chaos. This looks like the original Triumph of Chaos, which is a fabulous game. I have an unboxing video of it on the channel. But do mind the copious amounts of errata on it, unfortunately. All right, so we have a rule book, which is a 36-page, relatively small print. I am a little uncertain as to whether the paper is yellowed with age or whether it was made like this. I want to say it was made like this. Nice-looking rule book. Not super tiny print, but not super big print either. Relatively dense, black and white. Paper is a bit on the thin side, but not ruinously thin, I don't think. And we do have, what did I say, 36 pages. Most of this is actual rules. Looks like we do have some scenarios in the back. Well, actually, there's a lot of scenarios, actually. Rules amount to 16 pages. The rest of it is scenarios. So there's a whole bunch of scenarios in here. That's great. It's always good to see a lot of scenarios. I mean, assuming they're good scenarios, but we can see we've got event card descriptions here. Looks like we have the Argive League, the campaign game, the 3-player campaign game, the 4-player campaign game, the Archidamian War scenario, the Ionian War, the Spartan Fantasy scenario, or Athenian Fantasy scenario. So there's a good scenario selection in here. This paper does feel pretty thin, to be honest. All right, we have a counter sheet and a map, and another counter sheet, and a map. And I can already tell you I'm going to like the maps. We've got some displays here as well. We have this Athenian allegiance and militance chart, which presumably tracks the allegiance of all these other little states that was a thing during the Peloponnesian War. Athenian leader display. This is probably the Spartan allegiance and militance chart. Here we have the Spartan leader display, which you'll notice. So this is Spartan, this is Theban, and this is Corinthian. So a lot of leaders potentially floating around in here. Here we have the tribute assessment chart. This looks like my kind of thing, I gotta tell you. I think I am going to like this game a lot. Here is two player aid cards on a thin, sort of banana-colored stock. Would probably recommend copying and or laminating those. Not a good idea to laminate original game components, but here we have counters, and they're not the most readable counters I've ever seen, I can tell you that. But and I don't know how much I'll be able to make of them. Looks like there's a lot of markers. There's a lot of individual troops, which these probably represent specific formations, maybe? I don't know. And then we have another sheet. Looks like we've got multiple colors of troops. We've got these, which look like the colored stripe is telling you what city they're from. So here are Thessalonians, here are Thracians, here are Macedonians, here are Attic. These are ships, of course, Athens being a great naval power of the time. Not sure to what extent Persia is a factor. There's some Corinthians. And then we've got a decent number of markers down here. These are probably the markers that go on those allegiance tracks. The counters are thick white core counters. Not super duper thick, but pretty thick. They feel good. Thickness on these feels real good. I don't notice registration issues particularly, or die cutting issues. Die cutting issues are probably not going to be recognizable until I actually try and punch stuff. And this will be getting punched, I can tell you that. We'll look at the West map because I think it's more striking looking. Who did I say did the map on this thing? Terry Leeds, so we should not be surprised that the map is totally friggin' gorgeous. Yeah, so we're not going to get the whole map here, unfortunately, because that is not the space I have right now. But I'll try and show you the Peloponnese here. I think this map is really pretty. It also, I don't see any obvious problems with clarity or anything like that. One of the things that attracted me to this is that it is a hex and counter game as opposed to an area movement game or a point-to-point game, where a lot of these ancient world sort of strategic or operational games tend to fall. I have a preference for a hex-based map. That is entirely an aesthetic thing on my part, so don't read too much into that. But one of the things that, and this is a 2-map game, by the way, so looks like this map, let's make sure that this isn't a situation where we have to trim. No, it is not. So this map will be underneath, this map will be on top of that, and here we can see what looks like Asia Minor. Yeah. Here's Byzantium, Asia Minor, all of these areas in here. Really, really attractive maps. I'll also point out that these are on a quite thick textured paper. I don't know that I think the paper texture is valuable to me, considering that I will play this under plexiglass anyway. But it is nice. It does feel nice. Let's take a quick look at the cards. Try to open a deck of cards without destroying said cards. That would be optimal. All right, and let's open both of them because I'm not sure if it's all the same deck or not. I think it is, but now again, to what extent this is a card-driven game, I can't tell you at this point. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to do some further video on it. But what I can tell you is that there's some kind of letter code up in the upper corner of this, which may indicate an era. That is a thing I have seen before. What I don't see is like an ops points or anything like that. These numbers on the bottom look like they're the card numbers, or maybe those are eras. Who knows? I'm pretty sure if it's 12s, they're not ops points. So this looks interesting. Now the cards are kind of a thick card stock, and these are kind of that crispy card stock that I strongly suspect will not wear well. I think you're gonna, and in fact, on a couple of these, you're actually seeing a little bit of chipping on the end just from not even moving around in the package. So I would, and if Origins were still going on, I would walk downstairs right now and pick them up. But I'll go to the local game store, I guess, and buy some sleeves. I would recommend sleeving these cards from the way they feel to me right now. So we're going to band those up. I'd tell you some more about these. Look like they are events, but if so, there's a lot of them. There's like 120 of these things, and certainly some of them reflect specific locations, like Samos, Two Fleets, Rebellion Possible, Samos, City Betrayal, Ephesus, City Betrayal, this kind of stuff. So that's interesting. We're gonna hope to take a closer look at this quite interesting looking game from Clash of Arms 2006. Apparently, Epic of the Peloponnesian War comes recommended to me courtesy of viewers on the channel. I had talked about this at some point on one of the live streams, and somebody had mentioned that this was actually quite a neat game. And, super early to have an opinion, but it looks super duper promising so far. Hopefully you have found this illuminating or instructive or entertaining or something. If so, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to help support Ardwulf's Lair, that would be greatly appreciated. You can check out links to the Patreon, the Ko-Fi, and the merch store in the video description. Once again, thanks so much for watching. And until next time, happy wargaming.